Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. In this video we will talk about the classical theory of interest rate. The classical theory of interest rate was firstly propounded by the J.S. Mill and later on other classical economists like Pigou and Marshall. They have also worked on this theory. Interest rate is nothing but it is that amount of money which is being paid to the lender by the borrower because lender sacrifices his money. So borrower have to pay a certain amount of money to the lender as a reward for his sacrifice. Basically, the concept of this theory or the classical theory of interest rate revolves around the concept of demand and supply. As in the case of demand and supply, when the demand of any particular product increases, the price of that particular product also increases. This is the initial price, and when the demand shifts from D to D1, the price also shifts from P to P1. In the same way, when the demand for money increases, the price of the money also increases. So before we go to the complete explanation of this theory, let us discuss about some of the assumption of this theory. And the assumption of this theory are as follows: that the first assumption is that there must be the perfect competition situation in the market. That is, perfect competition should be there in the market. Second, it is a long run theory, that the theory works only in the long run. Third, income must be fixed. Fourth, there must be full employment in the economy. And fifth is that the theory is based on the real factors like productivity, thrift and abstinence. Right? So these are some of the assumptions of this theory, that there must be perfect competition in the economy, theory works only in the long run, income must be fixed, or there must be full employment situation in the economy, and this theory is based on the real factors like productivity, thrift and abstinence. Right? So before we go in the further details, two things we should note here: that demand for money is negatively related, to the rate of interest, while the supply of money is positively related to the rate of interest. Means when the rate of interest increases, demand decreases, right? Or if the rate of interest decreases, demand increases. And here, when the supply of money increases, rate of interest also increases. When the supply of money decreases, rate of interest also decreases. Means demand has a negative relationship or inverse relationship, while the supply have a positive relationship. Right, now come to the supply side. Supply side means supply of money is depend on the savings, right? Supply of money is depend on the savings, and we know that saving is a part of income, as we see that income is equal to consumption plus savings. When we want to take out the savings, then savings are equals to income minus consumption, right? But if we see that savings are depend on the rate of interest, right? If the rate of interest increases, savings also increases. So we can say that there is a direct relationship between supply and the rate of interest. If we plot a graph between the rate of interest and supply of money, then here we take units of capital and here we take rate of interest, then the curve or the supply curve must be like this, or we can say that the saving curve must be like this, right? So let's come on the demand side. Why we demand? We demand for two reasons. First, to make investment, and second, to increase the productivity. Right? First, to make investment, and second, to increase productivity. To increase productivity. So, if the investment increases, productivity also increases. And when the investment decreases, productivity also decreases. But there is the applicability of the law of diminishing marginal return. Means after a certain amount of investment, the marginal productivity of capital starts declining. So this means that there is a indirect relationship between rate of interest and the demand for money, and that's why the curve, or we can say that the demand for money curve is a downward sloping curve. Here we take units of capital and here rate of interest. Means at higher rate of interest we demand less capital, and at lesser amount of interest rate we demand higher amount of capital. Right? If we combine both the figures of supply and demand in a single frame, then we know that supply curve is a upward sloping curve, that it is the supply of money curve, which is a function of rate of interest and having a positive slope, right? And this is the demand curve, or we can say demand for money curve, which is also a function of rate of interest having a negative slope, right? They are intersecting at this point. So this is the rate of interest, and this here we measure unit of capital, and here on y-axis we measure rate of interest, right? So this is the equilibrium rate of interest, right? We can show it with an example, right? With an example, right? This we have here three columns. In the first column we have rate of interest, here we have supply of money, here we have demand for money, right? These are the rate of interest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these are because supply and rate of interest having a positive relationship. So 10, if the rate of interest increases, supply also increases, 20, 30, 40 and 50. But the demand for money and rate of interest, they both have a negative relationship. So that means at lower rate of interest we demand higher money. So we have 50, 40, 30, 20 and 10, right? So this is the rate of interest where the demand for money and the supply of money both are equal. This is our equilibrium interest rate, and this is how the classical theory of interest rate explained the interest rate. Thank you very much.